Welcome back to War Thunder. Welcome aboard the Type 61 initially for the first like 5 minutes, and afterwards we will have some very impressive gameplay in the A7M2. And all in one battle. I'm of course here in realistic ground forces. Realistic ground forces have of course their charm. While I still hold on arcade, I mostly play realistic now for many reasons. In realistic, the tanks have more character than in arcade. But in arcade, a lot of the tanks that you struggle in within realistic often have much better capabilities in arcade in comparison to the mode. So that is a bit of individual thinking, I guess. And you should give every tank a chance in both game modes, I think. But with some tanks it's quite obvious that they are better in RB than in arcade. One particularly interesting example is of course the Doom Turtle or the T-95, the American tank destroyer, end of the line tank destroyer. In arcade your cupola gets sniped all the time, and that also happens in realistic quite often, but in realistic you can try to hide those cupolas with bushes and then it's kind of a guess shot. So here with the Type 61 I have my first customer, a T-29, that really didn't play to its strength. I put one round into him and the second round finishes him off. And I also captured the zone. And those actually made me a lot of points, and I have to say one thing about the Type 61. I quite like the tank, and regardless of the battle rating, I think it was fine at 7.3, the tank itself. The problem was what it did to the rest of the German team. Now this problem is on the Kanonjagdpanzer 4.5, but nobody drives that, to be honest. 7.3 always dragged the rest of the team up into a 7.3, 7.7 battle. And that hurt King Tigers a lot. That was in the last update. In this update, 6.7 is practically dead for Germans. Yes, the King Tiger is still there, but it got indirectly nerfed in terms of the damage that it can take with the fuel tanks blowing up all the time. But that's not really the topic of this video. Why do I make such an introduction? Well, I have to say about support. The King Tiger in particular needs support, and the RE251 just simply doesn't cut it. It's a fine tank, it's actually too good for its battle rating itself, but it's not the King Tiger support that we need. And the Type 61 is in this respect much better. But the Type 61 is in a different nation, however you play mostly together with the entirety of a German team. And in this respect you can bring one thing to the battle that the Germans just simply lack, and that is a very maneuverable fighter. Now the A7M2, the N1K2J, the N1K2JA and the J2M3, all tech tree aircraft by the way, received a new rocket upgrade pack, so you have to research now I guess for rocket upgrades, and then you can equip 2 rockets, one under each wing. And this is not very useful for Japanese fighters in air realistic battles, so obviously this is something that was meant for helping the Japanese out in ground forces, and they desperately need it. They're one of the weakest nations when it comes to ground support. At least you might think so yourself. There are 2 sorts of ground support in my opinion. The first one is the active one. You blow up tanks, and one of the best ground attackers is the 82 Skyraider. It has 20mm cannons that with armor piercing round can strafe AAA vehicles in particular, or lightly armored vehicles. Then it also has 12 rockets, so 6 launchers, and also up to 3 bombs, of one of them being a 1-ton bomb and 2 500-kilogram bombs, or 2,000 pound and 2 1,000 pound bombs, whatever you like to call them. And now let's talk about the indirect support that you can go into, and that is the anti-close air support, or Anti-CAS kind of role. And I think Japanese aircraft throughout the board, the props that is, are the best anti-fighters in the game. Not even the British, not even the Russians come close to it. Yes, they have aircraft that can be very dangerous if you don't use your advantages and just throw away, your advantages like a fool. You always can make a misplay, but when you play to your strengths and weaknesses, you can make a decisive difference. The rockets themselves are good for one launch, but they are not very good. The best I did so far was always a critical hit, and that was it. So now we are on board the A7M2, and the A7M2 is, in terms of anti-fighter role, inferior to the premium A7M1 in terms of maneuverability and overall handling. It doesn't come close, but the A7M1 is a premium. What a coincidence. However, let's talk about this plane in particular. And there are certain differences when it comes to the fight itself between air realistic and ground realistic or tank RP. In the dogfight, you have mostly an advantage when you have a higher energy state, or to make it very simple, high altitude. Not so much in tank RP. Now why is that? Because you don't get a red box, and this is why I catched those two guys completely off guard. And I killed the Hellcat and now also set the Wyvern on fire and killed him. And again, another Spitfire, it seems like a Spitfire Mark 5C, I guess, also fell to my guns. 3 kills in quick succession like that. Especially the Hellcat had still one tiny team left, and the Wyvern also has quite a decent bomb load and rocket load. Depends on which exact location or which exact loadout it brings with it. The next part is you can mark enemy tanks that wait in an ambush for your tanks with machine guns, and you can try to rocket them. Again, the rockets are not really that good in my experience, but I help out this M2, not this M4 A3 a little bit. And so I turn around, and now I spot another tank. I mark him with the machine gun. That creates this kind of red signal on the map, and that gives away more or less the exact precise location of this tank. And then Type 61 then figured out where the enemy is and deleted him, preventing him from capturing the point. This is indirect gameplay, and you also get a little bit of activity throughout the kill assists. While kills are the most desirable thing, at the end of the day, the most that you can get out of a game is victory. And for me, that is a bit of a mixed bag. If I die within the first few minutes, I mostly don't have spawn points left because I didn't do anything. So capturing a spawn point, regardless of how much you participate in the capturing process, always guarantees you 300 spawn points. Even if you are just in the capture zone together with 10 other people for 1 second, you're guaranteed to get 300 spawn points. In this situation, I used my mind. Japanese aircraft are amazing in a 1 versus 1, especially at low speeds, especially at low altitudes. Now, look at this. He's behind me, okay, and I'm running. And Japanese aircraft are also very fast. 540 kilometers an hour in a slight climb at level ground or on the deck is amazing. I went back to my base for practically 2 reasons. First of all, I tried to look behind me if he's the only guy for a moment. 2 aircraft engaged me, but the other one turned around. And then also I might have gotten this Yak 9K off my tail by AAA. So this is particularly something that you use for aircraft that you can't shake off if they are too maneuverable. This Yak 9K, he never really had a chance. While the Yak 9s are superior to any German plane, period, they fail completely in a turn fight when you use your energy advantage to your best against Japanese aircraft in particular. At this point, I was kind of not sure if I should have landed, for two reasons. I could have, first of all, reset the timer on the engine. If you watch my realistic air videos, you know what I'm talking about. Several aircraft sometimes have struggles with their engines overheating when you use web all the time. And you can reset this counter before they go into web by landing and repairing. And also I could have rearmed. At this moment I already have 4 kills in the bag. What you saw me here doing was a classic, low level approach. I tried to collect as much airspeed as I could in a flat run on the deck. And at this moment I was very hard to spot, even on this snow map, even with the green camouflage, I was just simply very hard to spot. And this lag 3 then went into a turn fight with me. I could have gotten into a direct dogfight, but that would have bleed off too much energy and I would have thrown my advantage, so I actually went into a loop, catched him in the energy trap, and then had an easy time dealing with this, actually Yak 1, I'm sorry about this. And that's the next thing. Many people use such aircraft with much lower battle rating in tank RB for two reasons. First of all, they might not have unlocked enough planes or even one plane at the battle rating that their maximum tank is in, or they bought just a premium. By the way, that's one point how Gaijin could make amazing amounts of money if they would sell more ground attackers with more potential, and especially for certain nations like Germany. And then there is the next thing. You just simply think that certain aircraft perform better in a ground attacking role. Everybody knows how awesome a Stuka is against tanks with the big bombs and maybe multiple bomb loads, and you are right if you say that you can take them into higher battle rating battles, but the plane is not very competitive against fighters at its battle rating in the first place. So if you take it into higher battle rating, you often throw away spawn points because there is one Spitfire and he just harvests you. Okay, that's what Spitfires do with most other nations' planes, but again, except the Japanese. Now, how to approach an enemy? First of all, try to single them out and try to kill them swiftly. After you killed them, try to disappear in the direction of your base if you're not quite sure if somebody is trying to kill you by chasing you. Then you have enough time to observe your rear. Then also turn around. There are two options. First you climb. The second one is you just try to collect as much speed as possible when flying on the deck and zoom up and catch then somebody by surprise. 130,000 silver lines and 5,770 vehicle research points divided between the aircraft and the tanks. So, and there you can see the upgrade way. Again, this applies to the aforementioned aircraft. I think the J2M3 and the N1Ks and the A7M2 are good ground attackers and especially anti-CAS planes. In this respect, that's it for me, so I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something from it. Let me know your tips and tricks in the comment section, and as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we will see each other in the skies of War Thunder.